Please cut the music. We are back. It is the draft season podcast. It is your boy Young Raz coming live from where I often do, Queens, New York. I'm with my player partner Sean 5K. We are back. Talk to him real quick.
You know what I'm saying? We here to talk. We here to talk a lot. It's NBA playoff season. A lot to get into. Draft Season podcast back after a brief hiatus, of course. But I mean, Raz. Without further ado, we hitting them off with a little quick hitting pod today. We're just gonna get into the most pressing topics
Yeah.
of this round one. Basically, it's like about 4 games played. But I mean, we got to start with the most important question right here, man, because it's been a lot of I've seen a lot of takes, a lot of discourse on the timeline, NBA Twitter talking about, do you miss LeBron in the playoffs or not, Raz? We're gonna start
So
there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, like,
Because I don't.
it's not.
I'm not, I really
No.
don't.
It's not
'Cause
that I miss him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, oh, the playoffs are whack without LeBron or whatever. I think what it comes down to for me is that, we grew up watching him, right? Like, he's been a part of our basketball consumption since 2002. Fuck all the NBA stuff. Since he was in high school, we've been hearing his name, right? So it's like it's coming to an end soon. So it's not even about it being, oh, we need him for the playoffs to be good. Nah, these I've been thoroughly enjoying the playoffs. It's just that we are running out of opportunities to watch one of the greatest basketball players to ever do it play. So that's why I need him in the playoffs, because I want more of what is going to run out very soon.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, and obviously Bron is one of the goats. It's just funny because people say like, "Oh, the playoffs are not the same without Bron," and like I think we're gonna get into the most interesting playoff series in a moment. Obviously, I don't even think it needs to be said, but I think it was that moment. We're gonna talk about the Grizzlies, but that what was it? It was that Grizzlies Lakers game early in the season. Who was it? Jaw was talking crazy to Bron. Desmond
Bain
Bain
and
was talking crazy to Bron, and it's just like, bro, these young cats are not afraid of Bron no more. And like you just talk about the league and like how we say this weekly, we say this every time we talk on the pod, bro. Like the league is so many stars coming, like the league is just packed with talent and guys looking to take that next step, and they're not afraid of Brown no more. And that kind of like he's still kind of like the alpha figure in the league. It'll be hard to top that, but yeah, these guys are coming for that throne. And I think like even people like, oh, we miss Brown. Like, yeah, I would love to see Brown in it too, but ain't much sympathy from me at least because what I'm saying, he played a big part in why that team, or he had a what I'm saying, he was pulling strings, puppet master, and he's the reason why the Lakers obviously whatever it was didn't make it to the playoffs this season. But what I'm saying, as we get into the actual playoffs though, so I mean just real quick hitters at least, man, for you, like what's been the biggest, just the biggest thing that's caught your eye out of all these series so far?
should I
Everybody's played
bury
about
the
like 4
lead?
games.
Should I bury the lead, or should we get right into it? Because we could. I think, before we get crazy, let's talk about that Minnesota Memphis series, which looks like it's going to be the most compelling series that we have
By
left.
far, but not even
Um,
close.
yeah, like this is what we wanted. This is the type of matchup we thought that Brooklyn and Celtics matchup would be. It would be something like this as a 2-7, but this is the 2-7 that really is stealing the show. A lot of young talent on both of these teams. A lot of young talent on both of these teams, and the two headliners for both teams haven't played their part, and it's killing me. It's killing me to kill my kin Ja Moran, but he has to get his head out his ass. But just seeing how
Yeah,
deep
stop
that both of
tweeting.
these teams are. What happened? No,
So
I
you
mean, I
gotta
don't
stop
have an issue
tweeting.
with the tweeting, man. These kids is 22 years old. They're gonna tweet. Like, I mean, we gotta stop. There's a Kobe would never tweet. Okay, Kobe was playing movies in '96, bro. Like, he had nothing to tweet about when he was 22. There was no Twitter, there was no fucking internet. So let's get it out the way. But like, I think just the young stardom, and just like we say all the time, like the league's in good hands. But both of these teams are very deep, and they have an identity, and it's interesting to watch them. They're both talking shit. They're both going at it, and I think it has to go 7. I need it to go 7.
I mean, yeah, man. Like I said, it's funny just like watching this series because it's been back and forth. I think even before, just like the prognosticators talking about that series itself. Like I said, I watched all of those. I watched all of those regular season games between those two teams, and I knew this was going to be a war. I think some people like I said, this is not really against Memphis. I think this was possibly perhaps the worst first round matchup they could have had,
Yeah, for
that
sure.
they could have really pulled up. And yeah, even like looking at the stats real quick, what I'm saying, they split the 4 games in regular season 2-2. After 4 games, it's 2-2. Cumulative points scored out of all of those games: 923 for Minnesota, 913 for Memphis. Quarters 117 for Minnesota, 15 for the Grizzlies, 1 tie. Like these two teams are evenly matched, and like I mean, starting like even like game 3 was just like insane theatrics. One of the most ridiculous runs that I mean, comeback or collapse comebacks, whatever you want to call it. I mean, like I wish it was hindsight for me because I was watching that game and I kind of had a feeling it was gonna happen the whole time, just watching the fourth. But I mean, what's on the court at least for you? We spoke about Ja. Obviously, it's just funny because we talk about Karl Anthony Towns, who is an enigma as a talent in his own right. And like I said, I watched the Wolves very closely throughout the season, so I've said many of these points about this team, about Towns specifically on this pod before, and they've kind of just all come to the light during the series. Whether it's his press game conference, what he's saying in the presser, the stupid fouls, offensive fouls, the Magic Johnson passes, all the stuff that Cat is doing. But for you at least, what's really stood out to you from obviously, like I said, the most compelling series in the playoffs right now?
I think for me right now is obviously just with the NBA in general, like no lead is safe. So like let's start there. Let's not like no like both of these teams are going to be able to put up runs and get back into the game. Um, Again, like I said earlier, the depth. Somebody like Desmond Bain, who is taking up for Josh Slack right now. We wax poetic about Desmond all the time, but he's really coming into his own in the playoffs right now. Cat and Jaren Jackson, they can't stay out of foul trouble. They can't get out their own fucking way. Jaren Jackson hasn't looked good in this series at all. I think if he even remotely resembled good Jaren Jackson, this series could be over pretty quickly, but he hasn't been. And I mean, some of that is on obviously the Minnesota game plan. Shout out to Memphis coach actually for making that switch from Steven Adams. Steven Adams is unplayable in this series right now. And he went to Xavier Tillman, he went to Brandon Clark. So again, the depth with the Memphis Grizzlies and just coaches being able to press different buttons. I don't know what to take from this. I want to say Memphis pulls it out just because they have the more home games, but like we said, like this is these teams are as even as it gets for this series.
Yeah, and I think even if we just talk about like to take, I think after game 3, people just thought they were going to fold. And honestly, after a game like that, like some teams definitely would have folded. It's hard to come back from blowing that type of lead. Has to be deflating. But I think just the way they came back in game 4, I think that just kind of says, what I'm saying. I think they know they can play with Memphis. What I'm saying, whenever they're executing. And I've said this, I've tweeted this before, just in terms of they have to, Memphis is just sturdy and solid. They kind of just always there. Desmond Bain always finds a way to get his shot off. It's what I'm saying, it's really a captivating series, but just for Minnesota. And I think these next 3 games will be extremely interesting. Just to see how it plays out. I think even I think there's another thing that played out, another theme that played out during the regular season, just about how well Minnesota has guarded Ja Morant. And I think, just about like it's the high wall that they're playing on defense. They're throwing like 2-3 guys at Ja Morant on there. And I think, what I'm saying, I think you can make the argument that Desmond Bain has been the best player on the Grizzlies in this series, which
For sure.
what I'm saying, we're huge Desmond Bain fans, so nothing to take away from him. But yeah, man, I think, like I said, this series has been phenomenal. I kind of like gun in my head, I think the Wolves got a chance to take them out of there. But yeah, real quick, just moving on. I guess moving around the league real quick. What other series would you want to hit on that's like stood out to you? Obviously, I mean, there's the Celtics next, as you did get to. But what else did you want to get to, or what else has stood out to you so far?
How much of a bad matchup that Denver Nuggets Warriors series is. That lack of perimeter play for Denver right now is so fucking glaring. Um, those 3, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry are having their fucking way. And I've seen a lot of as NBA Twitter, we know is a cesspool. A lot of, if Jokic wins the MVP, they should take it away because he gets swept in the first round. Obviously, firstly, we know this is a regular season award, and secondly, they're saying Jokic is getting clamped up. The man's averaging 29 and 13 in this series. So, I think you got to sit there and think about how good he is for us to sit there and see him struggle a little bit, look at those counting stats, and then say he's getting locked up. I just think it's been a nightmare matchup. And it may call into question things for like Mike Malone, which I think are pretty much unfair right now because he's not with a stacked deck. But I'm interested to see the fallout of that series if Denver does get swept.
Yeah, like I said, I personally like. I remember I saw your tweet on this, but like, yeah, I thought it would be hard for Denver to really make that a competitive series as good as Jokic is,
It's
obviously. And I
hard to bet
think the
against him
other,
for me though. I think that's
yeah,
just
no,
what it comes
obviously
down to. Yeah.
it's always hard to bet against Jokic, but I think just this is another like obviously once you get to the playoffs, it's all about matchups, and I think this matchup for Jokic is a tough one for him to do the God mode thing against because obviously the Warriors just the way that they play in their the off ball nature and all of the movement that they play with, that's not a great fit for Jokic as well, especially what I'm saying, he's going to be stretched in defensively trying to what I'm saying, trying to keep up with that. I think even what was it, game 2 when he got ejected, you watching that
Yeah.
game closely, it was like you could just see that he was like um just the frustration in his like, on his body part or his body language, just what I'm saying, how tough it was for him to carry everything on that team. But yeah, obviously it's always weird. It's always just weird to me whenever we get into the playoffs and every single playoff game becomes this redemption arc for basically confirming the biases or confirming whoever you thought what I'm saying deserve the MVP awards. And the playoffs is a completely different season. You can throw away the regular season once the playoff starts, because like I said, it's all about matchups. And honestly, you could even look at like box scores. You could throw away the box scores once you get to the playoffs. It's all about getting W's, like whether it's ugly or not. So yeah, like I said, I think it'll be interesting to see what Memphis does. I mean, what Denver does, pardon me, in the off season and how they. Because I think even if they just run it back, I'm not sure if that's the
It's not. I don't
best
know.
way.
It's not going to be enough at all, man.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough just to say, all right, cool, we're getting Michael Porter Jr. back, we're getting Jamal Murray back. I think their windows close really quick, and I think that's another thing we could get to when we talk about that Jazz Mavs series. Obviously, it's tied up at 2-2, but easily could have been 3-1, and some of those games just look disgusting from the Jazz perspective. But yeah, I think from Denver point of view, yeah, this is going to be interesting what they do. I think talking about Golden State real quick, because they've just kind of been. We didn't get a chance to see a lot of the postseason, or I mean the depth lineup for that team, or all of those guys really play together. Obviously, Clay missed the early part of the season. Steph was in and out. Draymond missed the stretch, and Jordan Poole has honestly just reached a completely different level on that back half and hitting his stride during the regular season. But this team is frightening to me. When we talk about legitimate championship contenders, we'll touch on the Sun series in a moment and just what that Booker injury does to them. But like, where are you at on the Warriors? Because obviously they just look like they're hitting their stride. The offense is moving seamless. Steph hasn't even been inserted back into the lineup yet, and obviously, I just think Memphis has no. I mean, I did it again. Denver has no chance at really guarding all of those guys. They were really never a great defensive team. And it's just kind of a lot for all those guys to stop everything that's going on the Warriors. But where are you at on this Warriors team, and what I'm saying, just projecting their odds at making it out the West?
So I need to see what they look like against a different matchup. Obviously, this is the first time that this depth lineup has been, really gotten to go this season, and like we said, Denver has no perimeter challenge. Like they're not even working on the defensive end. Golden State, like they don't have to work on the defensive end on the perimeter. Like Will Barton's Will Barton. Obviously, shout out to Will Barton, but He's not putting fear in any of those boys' hearts, and they're allowed to run free on offense when he's on the other side. So it's like, I assume the next matchup would either be between the Wolves or the Grizzlies, which are teams that kind of boast a little bit more on the perimeter side. So I would like to see that just in terms of how they handle that, being that type of lineup also on the defensive end. Like, is it going to allow them? Are they going to be allowed to play that lineup with that much time on a team that is able to match them athletically on the def lineup? So, I mean, I think depending on what Booker looks like, because I do think the Suns get through this series without him, depending on when he comes back and how he's feeling, I'll be able to put my final stamp on that. But I do think, obviously the Warriors are the second best bet when everybody's healthy to get out of this conference.
Yeah, like I think they just have the, you know what I'm saying? There's I think the series everybody wants to see obviously is that Phoenix and that Phoenix Golden State series, and that would be a Western Conference Finals matchup.
That's legacy right there. That's legacy
either way. And there's a lot going on that. Obviously there's a CP3 Steph Curry thing. That dynamic of I think just Steph always, for the most part, outplaying and getting the best of CP3. I think I would love to see, Devin Booker in that dynamic, because he's the type of guy that has the ability to really raise his game and be a difference maker in that series. But yeah, man, it's just scary how good the Warriors are playing right now. Everybody's in the, you got to have the bodies, man. I think right now they have the excess of like Kuminga can't even break into their playoff rotation right now. Too many bodies in front of him. The execution isn't always consistent and sharp with him. So there's a reason why he's not, getting consistent minutes. But between the defense, Draymond's having a phenomenal, series as well. So that's another thing. I think Denver's obviously gonna go out shortly. I think they're playing right. They're playing right now. Yeah, they're playing right now.
Yeah, Denver's
So yeah, it might be grand opening, grand closing for them. I think touching upon. I mean, what other series really stood out to you as we run through this? Just these quick takeaways.
Yeah, we can get into the only other series that's close.
We gotta go to Boston. Obviously, we didn't talk about.
I'm really in the chamber right now, charging up for that real quick. So if I have to go on a Steven rant for that one, but quickly on that, Dallas and Utah series, like you said, it's been ugly. Luka's finally back. Jalen Brunson showed why people were high on
bag alert.
Yeah, he's gonna get paid. This is the time, and this, shout out to that young man, because he secured the bag in 3 playoff games. So Luka's back, so that helped. That's obviously good for Denver. I mean, not Denver. Why am I doing this now? With Dallas, in terms of having their best player back, it did make the dynamic a little bit different. Obviously, when somebody that ball dominant comes back, the offense has to kind of revert back to what it was. So Dinwiddie suffered a little bit there, obviously with playing time and touches, but he's looked halfway decent, as he didn't in the beginning of the season. He was a after fact. So
he got a brand new life when he got to Dallas.
Yeah. So Dallas is looking formidable, and Utah still somehow in this, right? 2-2. Donovan Mitchell finally passed it to Rudy Gobert for that alley to seal the game. Like, it's one of those things where this team. Mike Conley is a corpse, and I know, shout out to Mike Conley. You were one of my favorite players, but you are a corpse of yourself. You are not helping this team right now. And this team just looks like a team that's kind of just too talented to get swept by the Mavericks, but like they don't look like they want to be out there playing together. And the intrigue with like the Knicks front office at the game, which has been humorous, because why is that getting reported? Like, we're seeing William Wesley and Julius Randle courtside. And the funny thing about it is they could be scouting anybody, right? Like, they could be there looking for anyone. It could be Brunson, it could be Mitchell, it could be just anyone on either sides of that kind of that matchup. So it's like no one knows what's there. And I think the Knicks just are being dickheads there. But no Knicks talk. This is the playoffs. Utah looks like they're going to bow out of this series, but I can't even bet on that right now, because they're good enough to beat Dallas.
They're just been unserious, and I'm a big, like I said, I like Donovan Mitchell's my guy, and because pre-draft I've just been high on him coming out. So like even like some of the the flaws and the quirks that he has, the weaknesses in his game. I watch him a lot. I think people forget that he's 6'1". Like he's a small guard. I think sometimes we talk about like his efficiency issues around the basket, with some of like the just like when he's finishing again like big guys, or like even like the sporadic shot selection sometimes, which sometimes his shot selection can be nut. But he's a shot hunter. That's kind of his role on the team. But yeah, like I think like you said, you talk about that Utah team. And I think obviously it's real easy to be like make it a Gobert or Donovan Mitchell thing, and I think their problems are deeper than that. Like I think I just like obviously it's a 2-2 series. You know what I'm saying? Best of three at this point. Anything can happen in a best first to two games, first to win two games, obviously. But just taking a look at the actual team and thinking about the Utah team as in general, like even for as much obviously you have the series that everybody brings up, the Clipper series with Gobert, Terrence Mann in the corner hitting like 6 threes or whatever it was. Quinn Snyder actually adjusting and downsizing a little bit more. But and I think it's tough because for what they both do, I think Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are really, really good. And in the top, in the upper percentile of players at their position, however you want to snake it. But in general, I kind of just think watching this team, they just reached, the ceiling that they've possibly had, whether it's like a first or a second round team. And I think it's defensively, and it's not necessarily to put this on Gobert. They have a really small team in general. Like they depend on Royce O'Neal to be their stopper and defend the best defender on another team. Royce O'Neal is all of 6'4", bro. Like I know we could do the wingspan, positionless basketball, but he's still 6'4", and you're asking a lot for him to really be that stopper on that side of the ball for the Jazz. Like I already mentioned how Donovan Mitchell is a small guard, even if he has a insane wingspan. Conley is 6'1", obviously. He's a small guy. Jordan Clarkson never really been interested in playing defense. These are and like I love shout out to both of the Bogdanoviches, man. I say this all the time. Those two dudes are killers. If I'm making a team and I need like a bucket getter that I know is gonna give me buckets and what I'm saying, gamers, cold-blooded killers, I would take both of those guys part of my rotation at any moment. But he's not the best defender. He's kind of better at defending in the post, but he's not a big guy either. He's better at post defending, but he's not. He doesn't move his feet well. So what I'm saying, I think like there's some untapped potential there with the duo. I don't know if Rudy and Gobert, Rudy and Donovan will actually get to see to get that moment, but it's going to be interesting because I think they're just missing like some more rangy defenders on that team, and that's my problem with that Utah team. They're kind of just real dependent on the Gobert to be the equalizer defensively, and if you can, if you can put him in space and spread the floor out with shooters, and really attack their guards, which is just like insane, to see the level of how Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie was just headhunting all of the guards on Utah, and that's a collective issue. And I brought up to end that thought on Donovan Mitchell, but what I'm saying, just watching his defensive, he's apathetic on defense sometimes. He's in La La Land on defense too. Sometimes he's not really trying much, and you can see that as well. But in general, what I'm saying, I think it's real easy to tell what I'm saying, what the weakness of that team is. But so I did just want to talk about, there's more. I'm not going to write them out just yet as far as that Nets team go. Like I like just quick thoughts on them real quick, like because we talk like everybody, like Nash is obviously going to be the fall guy, and this is not a cape for Steve Nash, and I've mentioned this before, but though like KD and Kyrie get more blame to me, and obviously you're not going to fire the players. Kyrie has an extent. I think he's a free agent coming up. Like obviously, and like I don't know what type of contract you'd want to give Kyrie, but what I'm saying, they're playing the way that they want to play, and like obviously the whole feel from the get-go was kind of like Steve Nash was just kind of like a cool ass camp counselor, just to keep the vibes right.
They said we don't need a coach, man.
They said that's a verbatim quote. So it's watching that team and just seeing how they're playing right now, and obviously like I said, it's real easy to say, oh yeah, Steve Nash isn't doing anything. KD and Kyrie are playing exactly how they want to play.
Yep.
And like we could kill Nash, and this, like I said, it's not me caping for Nash, but those guys are doing what they want to do out there. And like KD, obviously he was good. He was good on curveball. He didn't want to do the whole motion based offense. And Kyrie himself, like Kyrie, you put the ball in Kyrie's hands, and those guys want to go to work one-on-one. And obviously there's ways to get them, easier baskets. But Bones Highland is going crazy right now. Shout out to him. But just in general, those guys are, to me, they're playing the way that they want to play right now. And just in, I think just looking at that team and kind of just the vision, and we talk about how important depth is. Like, having a versatile roster is very important in this day and age. If you're gonna do the whole top, the superstar, super team, thing, you put in a lot on your top two guys. You know what I'm saying? I think you kind of have, in my opinion, you kind of got to have, two top 10 players for it to really be a super team. I don't think Kyrie's a top 10 player, but that's just my personal opinion.
He's not, but he has a mean left to right. So everybody, he's top 75.
But that's kind of where I'm at on it for this Nets team. Obviously, if Ben Simmons was healthy, it would make a difference. And what I'm saying, give credit to Boston. Like I said, I hate Boston, but it's hard for me to hate this team because I don't hate Tatum, I don't hate Brown. I don't really got anything against. It's hard. Like, it's easier to hate Al Horford's sister than it is to hate Al Horford himself. Yeah. Marcus Smart, don't really hate him either. So it's just like Ime Udoka.
I just hate Boston. I just hate Boston.
I just hate Boston. Like, I would love to see them lose in the second round, but it's just something like praying on the Nets' demise, and we're on the eve of that. So I didn't know if you had any more thoughts on that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just want to not bury the lead here and just go into it. Like, I've been seeing some rumblings, over the last season about the type of player that Kyrie is. And, he has a strong fan base and he's very talented. I think we overrate him and his impact. He's one of the most skilled players in the game of all time. Honestly, if you want to say that, his handle's great. He can do everything you need him to do. But a lot of that comes at the expense of the team around him. And let's just keep it frank, like his playoff record without Bron, and I hate to do that, is very light when you put it in the light. Like there hasn't been much success there, and he's the one that axed out. He was tired of getting little broed. He made the comments when they got KD, like, I finally feel like I got a motherfucker next to me that can make that shot in the clutch. Well, here they are, man, and we clowned Harden for leaving because this is what he wanted to come through and leave, but maybe he was right. It was like, and I hate to say it, right? Like, but maybe Harden was right, because I'm not a fan of leaving and quitting on your team either, but Kyrie didn't get vaxxed, and that's a medical thing, and I don't want to get into that, but it's just one of those things where it's like, now we're getting comments, on the pressers, like, the Celtics have had time to gel. We haven't. Like, now all the excuses are starting to come out, and, and I think that's testament to what the Celtics are doing to them. But I do think we have to sit here and look at Kyrie's overall impact and his quote unquote stardom, because you could just have him as a hired offensive gun, but can he be, unless you have a LeBron, right? One of the best players of all time, can he be the second best player on your team for a championship?
Yeah, I think I'm with you on all of that, and I think I'll finish here just about him, man. Like, that team, like the chemistry on that team looks like they've just been disjointed, and they look like a team that hasn't played a lot together. Because honestly, they really like together. Like, what I'm saying, you could discredit the and we talk a lot about that hypothetical switch, flipping the switch, but it's hard to just wake up one day and start having championship habits for that. Yeah. Like, they thought they were just gonna like out talent the rest of the league, but what I'm saying, like I said, I think they're just a little closer to the pack than they expected. KD and Kyrie by themselves, at least. But what I'm saying, Ben Simmons can come in and make an impact on them in the future. But they're down 3-0, so that looks kind of bleak at the moment. But yeah, I think that could, quick little 30-minute on the first round of the playoffs. We'll be back with some content soon. Raz, anything else you want to lead the people with before we get out of here, bro?
I was told that the Raptors was gonna be the Sixers. So basically everyone that said that, I hope you have eaten your words and you feel like a fucking idiot, because there was no shot. But yeah, we're gonna be back big week coming up. NFL draft is this week. We have some content for y'all. I know we keep telling y'all we got content, but life is life right now. But we about to make it happen for y'all. We gonna have this content coming up next week, NFL draft, NBA draft. So please stay tuned to that. And I can't wait. NBA playoffs. We're in a good spot right now.
We out of here, man. We back with more content soon.